Chip makers escaping specific tariffs as President Trump announces new levies on imports to the U.S. Still, chip stocks getting dragged today along with the broader market. Joining us now, Stacy Rasgon, Bernstein's managing director and senior analyst. Stacy, great to speak with you. You say that semiconductors will still feel an indirect hit from these new tariffs. How are you calculating the impact here, and what does that look like?
You bet. So semis, they will get hit by the baseline tariffs, this 10%, although I would say we don't import that many raw semiconductors anyways. It was $82 billion worth of raw semis in 24, and not a lot from any single country. I think Malaysia and Taiwan where they were most, but even then was 16 billion from each. A 10% increase, semiconductor ASPs are up 50% over the last 5 years anyways. That's okay. The issue is the indirect. The products that the semiconductors go into are going to get hit by tariffs. And that's the thing. Most semiconductors come into the U.S. inside other things like PCs, like smartphones. And you can actually look like where is the U.S. importing things like computer hardware and smartphones from. And just to level set you, in 2024, the U.S. imported close to $200 billion of compute hardware, servers, PCs, that sort of thing. About $114 billion of smartphones were. And if you sort of look at the locations and then the tariffs that are coming from those locations, my math suggests something like close to a 40% tariff on computing hardware and smartphones that the semiconductors are going into. Cars as well, we did $350 billion of vehicles and vehicle parts in 2024. Those will get hit by a 25% tariff. And so the issue really is not so much the direct impact, it's as these products now get more and more expensive, is their demand destruction.
Yeah.
If we're selling fewer of the products that the semis go into, that's the bigger risk. The other risk for semis is just they're very cyclical and very global, and they're very correlated to the macro, to GDP. So if this tips us into recession, that's probably not going to be great. And so that, I think, is where the semiconductor stocks are actually moving, rather than like worries about like the direct impact of the tariffs themselves.
Yeah, Stacy, which is worse for chip stocks? A tit for tat on tariffs that allows for them to continue to get worse, or a scenario where companies just sort of pause across the board on spending as they wait for those negotiations to unfold and hopefully get better?
Well, I mean, I think those two things are coupled, right? They're not independent, and they're all. And by the way, this isn't just semis, by the way. I don't think there's any sort of good news really for anybody out here. So this isn't specifically a semiconductor related issue. This is an everybody issue. But yeah, I mean, if you're worried about escalation, both from other countries as well as from the U.S., that becomes a problem. And I think the point you make just about like paralysis is a very interesting one and very true. I mean, this is part of the issue. Like, how do you make plans that are going to take years potentially to put into place? Like, if we want to bring facilities and infrastructure back to the U.S., how do you make plans if you're not sure what like next week is going to bring on this stuff? People may even just wait if you've got a project that's going to take like 3, 4, 5 years to bring to fruition anyways. This administration will be out of power by then. Do you just decide to wait until the next one? Maybe everything comes off. So that just the general worry about decision paralysis, I think, is a big one. And again, for semis, and I think also like for the broader industries as well.
Stacy, how should investors balance the concerns about near-term demand destruction with the prior excitement around the long-term structural theme of artificial intelligence?
Yeah, well, I think that theme is probably still real and still there. Again, we'll see if any of this stuff has any near-term implications for CapEx spending and that. But I think AI is actually one of the themes that, like, through this probably can work. And frankly, if we want higher productivity and everything else, we may need something like that anyways. I think in the near term, none of that is going to matter, though. Like I said, this is going to overpower near-term decisions. Like, everything is going to get whacked. Multiples in general are going to come down. Like, I mean, just we're in an environment where, uncertainty is going to be higher. Cost of capital is clearly going to be higher. Multiples are going to come down. And we'll have to see where that bottoms. I think part of the other issue is, I mean, like on the surface, like this, it seems stupid and self-inflicted, right? And so you have to sort of wonder as to the mindset of the folks who are in charge, who are like bringing a sledgehammer to this. It is going to make people concerned, again, broadly about like what sort of discount factor to put on those future cash flows. And that's what we're seeing today. Like, it's not like earnings and everything all got revised like necessarily today, but like multiples are clearly going to come down, and semis are going to get hit by that just like everybody else will.
Well, to that exact point, Stacy, Nvidia was cut to hold at HSBC this morning off the back of concerns that they have limited pricing power, and that's going to be a hit to earnings. Where do you stand on that argument?
They have limited. I'm not sure they have limited pricing power. I'm not sure. They have. I mean, they're running 75% margins, and frankly, people are lining up out the door to buy their products. They probably have more pricing power, frankly, than anybody else. Although I would say semiconductors in general do tend to have pricing power. Again, you can look through COVID just because of the inflationary pressures. The average semiconductor ASP today versus, say, 2019 is up 50%. So I think the industry, and by the way, people still bought semis. I think the industry in general probably does have better pricing power than a lot of other industries. Like if I was selling T-shirts or shoes or something, I would be more worried about my ability to price the tariffs versus like semiconductors, especially if it's like a 10% lift. I'm not too worried about that. I think the broader disruption, and like I said, the worry about demand destruction at the end unit point is I think bigger worries. And I don't think those are isolated to Nvidia. I think those are broad worries across the space.
I think I'm still sitting here with an iPhone 6, so I might be part of that problem. What do you think? What's an expectation for what the damage may look like, and how excited do you get around where valuations may be going on some of these great long-term theme names?
Yeah. I to be honest, I don't know like how big the damage will be. Again, if it was a direct impact, you can size that. We've done that. It's fine. The indirect impacts and demand destruction, I don't know, because you need data on price elasticity for a gazillion types of end products. Like I don't have that data or analysis. I don't know exactly how to size the general impact from this. It will, again, if this continues, and the macro gets worse, it'll probably be sizable. And again, not just semis. Again, I don't think this is isolated to semis, but the impact will probably be big. So I don't know how to size it though. I wish I did.
Stacy, thank you so much. Love getting your thoughts. Really appreciate it.